Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate, this is our time. Elevate, elevate.
Good morning, folks. Hope you're doing well on this beautiful, extra feel good Friday. Happy to be on with you yet again. Excited. I love doing shows on days off. This one's always weird. Anyone who joined us for our members only show last night, no, this weekend's weird in terms of how it falls on schedules. Some get the Friday off, some get the Monday off, some, well, get screwed and don't get any of it off. Some get both off if you're a government employee. So it's a tremendous time. And so those who are joining us and are able to join us because, well, you have the day off, well, thanks for joining us. And I expect, actually, it's funny enough, I'm anticipating a little bit lower numbers today, only because I'm anticipating people are going to be sleeping in today. And I would expect that. You guys are working hard, doing your best to make ends meet, trying your best to navigate the tough times in our current country. You deserve to sleep in a little bit. You deserve to not be waking up to this show. You deserve to take some time to watch the rerun of this, the replay of this at a later time. That's what you deserve to do. But those who are on here will lie with us. You're a real one. You're much appreciated. You're looking beautiful. You're looking lovely because we have some things to talk about today. Well, first things first. Tucker Carlson released his episode yesterday calling for regime change in Canada. We know that Tucker Carlson has been railing on the American government for their what's been going on with Iran, and been railing on Israel for what happened in Palestine, what continues on in Palestine, as well as their work that's going on in Iran as well. He's been railing on them, and he's been asking and demanding America kind of recoil from its global dominance as world policeman. That seems to be the direction Donald Trump is taking after this Iran war. I think that looks like that might be what they're doing. We'll see. However, he says, as it looks like America is receding, there's countries that are directly on our border that probably need legitimate regime change. And he gets into it. We'll be watching the minute and a half of that today because that's gotten the people going. And there are certain accounts that have retweeted and posted that I really do want to get into as well. And it should kind of ring true for Canadians of all eyes are on us and we don't even realize it. That's the thing that we really need to keep an eye on. That's one. Number two, Joe Rogan gets into the idea of, has been actually keeping a close eye on the gun grab up here and how Canadians are fighting back. And he takes time on his platform with Theo Von yesterday to say, good job, Canada. We'll be talking about that. And then as well, chaos, drama ensuing over in BC right now. Insane. News broke of some shady dealings with the Caroline Elliott campaign that may have just sewered her campaign. However, the campaign's coming out and fighting back against what the accusations have been. It's, let's just say, there's never a dull moment. And I'm looking forward to getting into all of that with you. As well. Reg will be joining us here in about 15 minutes, which is going to be exciting. We'll talk about these stories, go back and forth. So it gives us some time to get into the Tucker Carlson story, the Joe Rogan story. And then we'll be able to have a conversation with him and go some back and forth of what he's seeing. Because I know for a fact, he has the show on right now as he's driving across the city of Halifax to get to studio today. So he will be up to date and he'll be ready to go. I'm looking forward to getting into all of that with you. And do not forget this one last thing. We are going live for 2 hours today, baby. Today's going to be a 2-hour live stream. There's a lot to get into. There's a lot to discuss. Let's look at the chat. Chat's looking beautiful this morning. Super chats are flowing in. Do not forget, Marcon Blanco is reminding us in the general chat today, please, please, please do not forget to hit the thumbs up, smash that like button, let people know what's going on, because the more likes we get on this, the more YouTube pushes it, and that's what we love to see. So, a couple super chats here. We've got a couple new members. Marcon Blanco has now become a member of the Elevate family, as well as Scuba Jode. Let's go. Mark says, Friday morning coffee money for Josh. Thank you so much, sir. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. And Bandit249 Saw says, morning, Canada. Yes, good morning to all of you. General chat, you guys are amazing. Now let's get into our first story, shall we? Here we go. Tucker Carlson talks about trying to soft launch, or at least try to float the idea. He's joked about it. He talked about it in the past, back in 2023. He said, hey, we need to liberate Canada. He's alluded to that in the past. Right now, what he says here, he's being very serious, and it's something to keep an eye on.
Probably under half. Canada is the single most important relationship that we have. It has always been our largest trading partner. But going forward, as American influence recedes to our hemisphere, what happens in Canada matters more than anything else. Maybe we should think about that. Maybe we should try to exert some influence on Canada, not necessarily by force, though by force if necessary. You could certainly make a regime change argument about Canada. Talk about a country that's oppressing its own citizens, killed almost 100,000 of them through its state-sponsored killing program, MAIDS. You could make a human rights case to invade Canada, not that we should, but if ever there was a people that needed liberation from a government that hates them, it's the Canadians, of course. But you could make a case based on self-interest and regional interest, even on decency, to have a lot more positive influence on the internal affairs of Canada than we currently do. Canada's not a sovereign country. It never has been, ever. It's part of the British Commonwealth. Now it's some sort of colony of India and China. It's never been sovereign. And there's no reason that it should be. It should be decent and well run for the benefit of its own citizens. And you could say the same for Mexico.
So there you have it there. He gets into what is going on in Canada, what is happening, and this is the issue, is, Tucker Carlson's a bit on the outs right now in the MAGA sphere at the moment. However, he's still in contact with Donald Trump. And I take situations like this, I take conversations and points. I think Tim Pool has done a video on this, Laura Ingraham, and a handful of others, Joe Rogan as well. A handful of other American podcasters who are either independent or from MAGA or just conservative or Republican, you name it. They are all now been talking about Canada fairly consistently over the past month and a half. And I think Canada needs to take heed and realize what is going on right now. Do I want to see Canada invaded? Nope. Do I want to see anything that Tucker Carlson's saying here happen to Canada? Nope. But do I recognize that we border the largest military on the planet, and we have a government that's been acting incredibly foolish with that being the case? Yes. Again, let's remind ourselves of what happened this week. Top Canadian bankers are joining our finance minister on Chinese trade mission, getting closer to China. And Moose Unloosed did this on his video this morning, which he covered a story, which listening to it in real time, my jaw was dropping. I knew this stuff was going on, but then to see the proof, he was covering a story of an American individual who used to be heavy on the Green New Deal, loved Green New Deal, and then realized it was a scam and then started kind of pushing for nuclear energy instead. But he ended up discovering that these solar panels that were being brought over from China had a kill switch on them. That there was a situation where users in America at one point woke up to a message saying, yeah, this has been turned off. This is the nation that Carney wants us to get closer to. Solar panels have kill switches in them, meaning if you were to ever adopt the Chinese technology at a large scale and grids, they could shut you off like that. They don't need to have the biggest military in the world. They just need to own your infrastructure. And Carney's getting closer to them. And of course, those kill switches do exist and will exist, I'm sure, on the 49,000 Chinese EVs that they're looking to bring in. They're not just going to be surveilling our cities and our streets and all that. They're going to also be, well, if need be, in time of crisis, and we go to war with the likes of China, those kill switches exist. And it puts us in a very tough position. So when you hear stuff like Tucker Carlson and others start talking about Canada in this light, it's time to start taking it seriously. Because Canada being the country that he mentioned it here, the country that people forget about, don't think about, is long gone. Those days are becoming all too, things are changing. Canada has a very important role to play on the world stage right now. Sure, we may not match the U.S. in economic power, military power, you name it. We may not match the U.S., but we play a critical role because of our geography, because of our resources. Whether we have a government who wants to use them or not, we are a target and we are sitting ducks right now, and we can't afford for any more misgivings with the current government we currently have. Can't do it. Or else our future will be decided for us. Did I say that out loud? Is that too close to home for some folks? There's some who don't want to hear it. There's definitely some even the conservative side who don't want to hear it. But if you don't start getting your act together and start trying to win over power, well, guess what? The decision will be made for you. Because how much longer can the largest military in the world just sit back and watch their closest neighbor get closer to their biggest enemy? How much longer can they watch that go on for? Because we do have the longest border undefended in the world. Do you not think China is going to exploit that, trying to exploit that? Have been exploiting that? You think a Trump administration is just going to allow that to happen? Look what they've done to Iran in the name of nuclear weapons, because they deem that to be a threat to them, which we know. I personally don't think that's the real reason. I think it has more to do with China, but maybe the two things can be true at once. Who knows? But we've seen what they have done to Iran. How serious do you think they're going to take it to see China encroaching on them on their continent? How much? Mexico's playing ball right now. Mexico is taking matters into their own hands and kicking China out. But Canada's getting closer. So what happens? And the other thing that's concerning to me about this too, is it caught my eye on social media today, is the types of accounts that are reposting Tucker Carlson's comments today. This should get your attention. This should get your attention. Because the likes of RT retweeted this, which is Russian state television. And they retweeted this and posted it. And of course, Russia's our adversary. Them and China are aligned. And they are very much happy to be posting stuff like this because it creates chaos in the West and continues to create chaos and tension in one of the once most beautiful alliances in the world, Canada and the U.S., that is now seeing strained tensions at the moment. Our enemies love this. Our enemies love that Canada's getting closer to China, and they love that U.S. is not liking it, and they want to continue to sow discord. Because let's talk about it for 2 seconds. What do you think happens with RT posting this? Because we know what's going to happen with the elbows up crowd. They're just going to watch the clip. They're not going to notice, obviously, that RT is reposting it. They're going to flip their lids when this circulates. This one on X right now is already 175 right now. Let's actually refresh this. I think it's more than that right now. Sorry, 195. It's been climbing. And it only got posted early this morning. It's climbing. Tucker Carlson's episode's on its way to 1 million views as it is. This is serious stuff, folks. This is not to be joked about. And I would love it for Canadians to wake up. And I know I'm very much speaking to the choir here. Very much speaking to the choir right now. Because anyone who's watching the show is alert and knows what's going on at the moment and what China's influence is. But I've never been more motivated to be a convincing argument to my liberal voters, friends, because the more they keep going on this carny escapade, the more it's going to be hurting our country. You know, and you see stuff like, it's funny, man, because like two of my favorite groups right now, or have been my favorite groups in the past in terms of music. It's funny. I grew up with Down with Webster. I love them to death. There are certain you need a certain taste to like them. So I'm not saying everyone on here is go listen to Down with Webster. You're gonna love them. No, you probably won't, but I like them a lot. The frustrating thing with Down with Webster is that Mark Carney really likes Down with Webster, and Down with Webster played at Mark Carney's election win video event after all happened. And then as well, the Beaches were celebrating with Mark Carney at the Junos. And again, I like the Beaches. I like what they do. I like their music. Like they're from Toronto, where I'm from. And however, you know, seeing them, we're gonna toast our glass to Mark Carney, and we call these Scarnies because it's a sexy Carney. I'm like, oh, gee, what are we doing here, man? We have just people who are not paying attention, who are involved with this stuff. And we need to do I'll start with me. I need to do a better job, especially those, I have a lot of liberal friends. I need to do a better job of convincing people and realizing what's going on. I'll be straight about that. And yeah, I'm just that's where my head's at. Oh, gee. Okay, give me 2 seconds, folks. Apparently, Reg is locked out of studio, and I need to go free him. So I'll be right back.
June 29th, this Monday, a colleague of mine and I will be releasing a podcast entitled The Elevate Podcast, where we'll be talking business, marketing, design, bringing on all kinds of different voices onto the show to really hear how business, marketing, and design really affect their workflows and how they really come into play in their worlds, essentially. You know, yeah, we'll have a couple, one-off episodes, me and Dalton chatting, but the whole goal is really bring in authority voices to, learn more about business, marketing, design, because as much as I love these things, I don't know everything about them yet, so I was super pumped to be able to get people on. So that's actually starting Monday. We're releasing our first.
So go back to what my point is. Sorry about that, folks. Is we have to do a much better job. I need to start doing a much better job of convincing people, because this is what we're facing right now. Is the biggest military and largest government in the world has got eyes on us, and we need to take that seriously. And I don't know how much Reg has actually watched at this point. I'm hoping all of it, because it'll make for some interesting conversation. But
yeah, I've been watching the whole thing.
Perfect. What are your thoughts on Tucker Carlson's statements?
I mean, the problem is that you got a lot of Canadians that actually feel this way. They're like, come take us over, that they feel hopeless. They feel like the election that they just voted in was illegitimate, that they feel like the democracy that they currently live under is not a democracy, that they're kind of living under feudalism. And I get those sentiments. The problem is, I think that we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater with this one. I think that we do need to kind of take control of our government, and whether that means like support by the US through, shining a light on the hypocrisy of this government, I think that would be more helpful. I don't think that Tucker Carlson is right about the whole idea that they've never been sovereign, like they don't have a country. I think that's foolish. I do think that's a weird soft launch, like you said, for, American takeover. I don't want that. That's not what we want in this country. We don't want to replace one problem with another. Yeah. We want to kind of fix our own backyard. And I think that the challenge, though, is that our system is so deeply flawed right now that we need a change. And I'm just worried about the kind of sentiment of folks in Canada kind of looking at, is the grass greener on the other side, looking at the States and saying, And so that to me that's where I see the biggest challenge with this all. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? I know I heard a little bit.
Yeah. First off, I just want to apologize to the chat here. I didn't realize that only members were allowed to comment in the chat today. Apparently that was turned on. Whoops. So that's general people can now talk again. My bad. That's on me. My fault, folks.
Oh no.
Now they're flooding in. Wow, this was I'm just here for the censorship, guys. No, but yeah, back to your point there, Reg. Is what are my thoughts? I agree. I agree with a lot of things you said. And it also comes back to this point too. It is so very important to take care of your own backyard right now. And that's like critical. Like whether you agree with what Tucker says or not, it doesn't quite frankly matter. What it should be is a warning. It should serve as a warning that things are getting serious, because it's not just Tucker Carlson. It's the likes of the Joe Rogans of the world. It's the likes of the Tim Pools, the Laura Ingrams. A lot of the media apparatus in the States is been reporting on Canada quite frequently lately.
Australia too.
Yeah, Australia as well. Sky News. That should serve as a warning to us that we've lived such a privileged life at this point. I hate to use a left-wing term, but it's a reality where we've lived next to the largest economy in the world with the largest military that's been protecting us. And we've just kind of been able to coast by because we're nice old Canadians and we'll just kind of do our thing up here. And for the most part, we've been fairly unproblematic until recent years. And well, it all started, a lot of people would argue, it all started under Pierre Elliott Trudeau and how close he got to China, and it's been building ever since. But it's just time you have to take your country back.
Yeah.
Like that's just a reality, and I think that's where it gets frustrating. And where it comes back to why there's so much infighting in the Conservative Party is because people see what's been going on, and they see what the Conservatives have done in the past 3 elections. And you're just like, we can't afford to keep going on like this. So that's why people are getting frustrated. And that's kind of where most of my head's at is, yes, it's on individuals to speak up, and it's on individuals to have tough conversations and try to persuade the other side, not just yell at them, because that's not persuading anybody. But it's also on a party that actually wants to win too.
Yeah.
So
the other thing, like I said, that I think that America could do to help us, not take us over, would be to, like I said, shine a light on Canada.
Yeah.
When Trump talks to Canada, call out the different things, and like he has been doing, and then put it on the other Democrats and put it on the other Republicans to do exactly the same thing. And then have provincial leaders that are not just begging at the altar of almighty Ottawa to sprinkle money on them. Actually stand up for your province. Because I think that was one of the most annoying things that I've seen recently too, was just the fact that we saw, 4 provinces sign on saying Ottawa's being ridiculous, we want control back. And then Ottawa comes to Nova Scotia, dumps a couple million here, 200 million there, 2 billion here. And you got Ford in Ontario that goes, ooh, that looks good. Come on over here, Mr. Carney. He comes over to Ontario. Carney sprinkles some money. Suddenly Ford he's I'm not going to turn into a liberal, am I? Ha, 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 ha. And like, it's that kind of status quo that keeps things the way they are. And it makes these other countries look at us and go, what the hell is wrong with that place? And then you have like the NDP convention too, which just got blown up everywhere. Yeah. But what I found most interesting though, like with Tucker Carlson's commentary, is he's speaking directly to things happening on the ground that we as Canadians just seem to have this like cognitive dissonance on. Like when he talks about the 100,000 folks that have died be like at the hands of MAID, like that's absurd. That's absurd. MAID should not be the leading cause of death in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And so I think that it's going to be more of that pressure on these absurdities that are in our society that will force people to actually do a 180, turn around, look in the mirror and go, oh, we're not so much better than everyone else like we thought we were. And I think that that's kind of the heart to heart that we need to have with each other, is just kind of like, we kind of put a lot of emphasis on how great we are. We're not Americans. We have free healthcare. We have all these things. And it's like, okay, the foundation is there, but the house isn't built yet. In fact, we're actually doing a bad job neglecting the foundation. And if you don't do something quick, we're going to lose it entirely and you're going to have to start over from scratch. Or somebody else is going to come and buy the property out from underneath you. Yeah. So I'm hoping that through all the attention that we're getting internationally, that it might be a little bit of an embarrassment for the country in such a way that we'll start making some changes. And I have to say, like Diarrhea CEO podcast, like Stephen Bartlett there, looking at Canada, talking to Pierre Poilievre, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And that's the kind of media attention we need. Tucker Carlson, I appreciate his view on it. Is it helpful? Nope. I think it's just going to feed right into the America wants to own us. And it's like, great. Fantastic.
That's exactly what it's going to do, man. And that is exactly the point I was trying to make earlier. It's just like, that's why RT is retweeting it.
Yeah.
And they want that chaos to ensue for sure. We got some super chats that have been coming in. Alex Pittman reminding us, hey, the chat says members only mode. Fix it. I'm glad we did. Thank you for the shout out. Lazarus is a member. Oh shoot, I'm real. Oh man, I really hope that the members only chat thing function didn't make you want to just purchase memberships now. I'm realizing that may have inadvertently happened. My fault if that did. Marcon Blanco says, being 25% Canadian, my family from a farm in Inverness, Canada, is a special place with great people. Let's just get along. We get rid of Carney.
Love that.
OPG says, why is this a members only podcast? I wish I knew this. I don't know. Nylock says, funny how cons can be friends with libs, but not the other way around. And they can only be friends with you until they find out that they then hate you.
Oh, well, they have to conserve their energy so that they don't have to spend all their time educating you. Right? Like that was, I did have a friend who was like, I can't be friends with you. We disagree ideologically. And it's funny because they almost take this political view of like, oh, you support XYZ policies, therefore your words are violence, right? It's just like they somehow believe that you want to just like murder people.
Yeah.
It's absurd. But that's where they go. They almost get like religious about it.
Yeah.
So
I think for me too, I've had slightly different experiences, I find. My experiences have been like, I do sell my friend groups who are liberal. They will tell me they think I'm crazy, but those still like, believe it or not, this is what actually I'll shout out this friend. I won't give his name, but I think this is one of the coolest things that's ever happened. He cannot disagree with me more on issues, but he still puts our friendship first. Mm-hmm. He still took the time on his social media to post about our show and saying, hey, don't agree with anything he says, but he's a cool guy. He's got some cool thoughts. Let's start the conversation, and like blasted our show to everybody. Like those are the friends I'm realizing are very far and few between. However, I have another friend group who they haven't outright said, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. But they do the slow drip off.
Yeah.
There's like, all of a sudden you're not responding to your calls anymore, or your texts. And it's like, okay, I guess we're not friends anymore. And just all of a sudden, yeah, there's a rupture in the friendship.
Oh, love that. Love that for us. A rupture. Yeah. See, I find like my friendships are very deep, very rich, or explosive. So it's like, I have like some really amazing people in my life that are really supportive, who are both conservatives and liberals. But then there's those folks who are just so deep into their ideology that they're just like, I have to blow it all up. I can't be friends with you.
That's crazy.
And it's hard, right? Because like I said, I have those people in my life that are very liberal, and they have that cognitive dissonance with me where they're just like, I know that you love people and that you value Canada and that you want the best for others. So why are you conservative? Like they literally have that argument with themselves and then verbally with me. And I'm like, well, maybe because I don't believe that taxation is the only way to prosperity. In fact, I believe it's the exact opposite. And they're like, oh, okay. So you're like fiscally conservative, but like socially liberal. And I'm like, well,
depends on your socially liberal means.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, oh, well, so do you want everybody to be, white Christians? I was like, no, obviously not.
They need black Christians. Yeah.
They do have good music. But like what I can say is that like I think that people should have the right to practice their own religion. Do I believe that you should be forcing that religion on others? Absolutely not. Do I think you need to be praying in the streets of Montreal? Absolutely not. You don't even do that in your home country.
Yeah.
Stop doing it here.
Yeah.
I think that like I'm more libertarian than anything, right? It's like, do your own thing. If it's not harming others, that's absolutely fine. Because the only thing in this life that you have is your own body. So go to it. And it's the same people though that are like, well, you need to get every vaccine going. And I'm like, you can't say that and then say that you're pro-abortion, because you know you can't falter on that. You either are like all your body, your choice, including vaccines, including abortions, including everything, or it's none of it. I'm sorry, you can't have it both ways. So anyway,
yeah. Oh, Lazarus says, let's be real. If Carney keeps effing around, we already know American intelligence is already watching us. It'll get to the point where they really just put their foot down and they do annex us with force.
I don't see that. So Canadians over time have been very, very good in warfare. I don't see that would be a winning strategy to come and annex Canada. I'm going to be very crazy tinfoil hat for a second. I think it might be like, oh no, a plane crashed, or oh no, like this person became mysteriously ill, or like that car went off the road awful conveniently and took out like, I think it'd be more like a Venezuela thing. It would be very, if it ever came to that, which I don't think it ever would, but if it ever did, it would be a very covert, very discreet change in Canadian government is what I think would happen. I think you'd see more economic pressure than anything, rather than outward violence from the U.S.
I think it's kind of what we're seeing in general. Like, Trump said it himself. He's like, I'd rather just, economically put pressure on him than anything else.
Exactly.
Like it's clearly getting to the point where if it goes on any longer, it may work. Marcon Blanco says, here's some coffee money for Reg. The young folk on Canada need to speak up and be seen. The internet will not work with repressive firewall.
Thanks so much, Mark. I don't know if you've noticed, but my voice is a little hoarser today because we were doing like a home dance party, sing along with the girls,
nice.
And now my throat is like pretty raw from that. So
Unreal.
Don't spend your evening yelling, or you'll sound like you swallowed a frog.
Speaking of which, actually no, I'll say that. I'll save it for later. I can't pronounce that. Is a new member. Let's go. Lazarus says Ford can't stand up for his province when he's on his knees fighting to rip Carney's zippers down, like the greedy little pig he is.
Oh my! That is a statement.
Wow.
And you read that out loud.
I did. Wow. Gee willikers.
Oh man, you guys are wild. So last night in the members only chat too, when they were like, we need basically a fireman's calendar of you guys, and that's going to be the moneymaker. I was like, absolutely not. Like, no way.
Big guy.
The beach is this way.
All right. Mike Stewart says, do not allow your son or daughters to ride in Chinese EVs. They're unbelievably unsafe. You will not see a diaspora drive them in any country they are sold. The CCP goes to great lengths to hide this issue. I believe it. Marcon Blanco says, America has huge challenges like Canada without specifically detailing what they are. Basically, folks like Carney. Hint. That group makes more noise globally. You are not alone with this problem. I do. It was interesting seeing all the globalists go to China.
I know. Like, oh, wow. I wonder what that's about. And did you see that there's like talk too about China wanting to form its own, like, because they're part of BRICS.
Yeah.
But they're like talking about creating their own NATO as well. Yeah. I was just like, oh my God. Yeah.
So
ridiculous.
So I might be airing a little dirty laundry here, but I think it's funny. This is what it reminds me of. So the church I used to be part of, long history, but I'll get to the point where it was a pretty radical movement. This kind of kicked up in the 70s, but really picked up in the 90s. And the leader of that movement got into some issues, and then they ousted him out of the church. And this church, it was the International Churches of Christ, and they had a beneficiary arm called Hope Worldwide. This man got kicked out, kind of left his own thing for a couple of years, and comes back, starts his own church called the International Christian Churches, and started his own and started their own beneficiary arm called Mercy Worldwide.
Oh my God.
I was like, it just felt like the biggest ripoff was the ripoffs. And I was like, that's what the whole China thing reminds me of, which, I mean, hey, I guess they're known as a country that rips things off, but
Yeah,
it's
right?
perfect.
It is.
So it's just funny just to kind of see all that coming out together.
Timu NATO.
Yeah.
Like literally what you're getting is Timu NATO. But oh my God.
Oh, goodness gracious. Poke Chuck says, all political views aside, Canadians should be proud of seeing Pierre being so well spoken on World Stage podcasts. Let's appreciate a voice of reason. I agree. It was they were well done. They're well done shows. Well done shows. Al Fuller says, Ontario paramedic here. My partner and I are currently listening in the ambulance on our way back from Emerge. Happy Easter, everyone.
God bless paramedics, honestly. Like I was in the military as a medic for 3 years, and we took all the paramedicine courses. So the ITLS, AMFR 1 and 2, like all, if you're a paramedic, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We did a lot of that. And I look at the amount of work that our paramedics do, and I'm like, how are they not paid more than doctors? Like they're the first on the scene, saving somebody's life. So thank you so much for tuning into the show. I have nothing but the most respect for our folks in paramedicine.
Yeah, I couldn't say more. I think that is the new craziest thing I'm hearing people listen to our show from. Just to think that someone's listening to our voices right now, driving an ambulance around right now in Ontario is insane.
Yeah.
Like, the internet's cool, man. The internet's so cool. I love technology. It's dope. And I had to kind of throw I had to put in the live chat, so I was curious. The Q&A started of where you're listening to the show from, and we'll list it off at the end of the show. I'm curious. JP Alberta First says the U.S. will do what it needs to protect their citizens, and rightfully so. Albertans are doing what a lot of us feel is necessary to protect ourselves and our children from the same things as our neighbor to the south. I think that's actually a perfect segue into this is more of a spin-off story, but I was trying to figure out how I was going to work it in today, and this is perfect. I loved this. So Danielle Smith dresses down Nenshi in the question period in the legislature. Man, this is so good. I love this. Oh man! Again, there's the issue around the fact that Danielle Smith is deciding to, make the classroom a classroom again and get woke politics out of it. And then she's like, "No, we want our communism. Let's go."
That critical thinking is precisely what we need to teach and precisely what this government doesn't want.
Mr. Speaker, we saw exactly what we do not want in our schools at the NDP convention last weekend.
That's right.
People showing their equity cards so that they could determine what intersectional definition they have to be able to bump the line so they could bump somebody else and misnaming on pronouns. That is what has been obsessing the schools for the last 10 years. Parents want to get back to the basics, Mr. Speaker. They want their kids to read. They want their kids to be able to do math. They want them to be able to do coding. They want them to be able to do critical thinking, not critical theory, which is what they've been advocating for the last 10 years.
Woo! Woo! I love her. Why is she not prime minister of this country?
Seriously.
My God, like the things like her bringing back the Heritage Fund too. Like, I wish she was our prime minister. Like she's so good at what she does. And what I love about Danielle is that she comes across as genuinely a kind, compassionate person. Yeah. She's like, I'm not no fool. I'm business smart. We're going to get back to basics and I care about you. And like, it comes through in everything that she does. Yeah. Like I am the biggest cheerleader for Danielle Smith.
Yeah, you are.
So like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Critical thinking, not critical theory. Like gold. So like good. This is the kind of thing like that's what slogans are made from when they're not intentional.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Excellent.
And then said 1 billion times over.
Exactly. Just like I just want to
Well, I love the post here. It says Alberta parents want their kids focused on basics at school. Our government is not backing down on this. The NDP don't agree, and based upon the equity card meltdowns from their recent convention, one can see why.
I know. I love how they put that in place, being like, we're going to create space for folks who don't normally get to talk. And the infighting that happened after that. And then, the lady gets up there and she's like, Madam Chair, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm not a madam. I'm just a chair. It's like, oh my gosh.
Dude, there's a meme that can definitely be birthed from that too. I was like, I'm just a chair.
Oh my, you totally could. That'd be so easy.
So good. All right, we continue on with some of these super chats. RC Lemaroo says the West bureaucratic gangster network is run out of Canada. They're at war against America and using Canada as the command base. We're being attacked. There's definitely you can't refute that. Yeah, we literally have wicked organized crime operating out of here. It's insane. Ronnie McDial says, I'm not saying this to be denigrating, but our country has an epidemic of weakness as virtue signaling is a virtue, and fundamentally are fully grown children with an extremely immature worldview. I don't think that's denigrating at all. I think that's just speaking to reality. In general, we do have the Canadians seem to have, as a whole, we have a lack of understanding what's going on beyond what's going on in the world. We just genuinely do. Because we've had the ability to not have to care about it.
I have a problem with that one, and mostly because I think that one, we have a state broadcaster that we put way too much trust in to kind of tell us what's happening in the world. So we're seeing everything through that lens, and they're saying everything's okay, don't worry about it, right? So that's where I kind of like push back on that a little bit. I also think that it's not a weakness of virtue. I think Canadians are actually quite virtuous people, that they care about others, they care about their community, and I think that people are very generous in Canada. I think that what happens is that when you combine a government that is hell-bent on feudalistic aspirations, where they are the lords and the elite and everybody else serves them, and then you combine that with the propaganda machine that they have pumped billions of dollars into, and then you kind of like create this us versus them otherings kind of scenario that they've done, which I would say is a psyop in itself, a psychological operation. I think those are all the ingredients to take a really well-meaning good people and completely lead them down the wrong path. So I think that I don't think that we're weakness and virtue. I think that we're low information, honestly. And I think that it's purposely done that way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think they've created a spot where we're all busy, tired. We're just trying to afford our lives because they've slowly boiled that frog to a point where we can't afford to sit and pay attention. I mean, look what happened when the pandemic happened and everything had to stop. Suddenly people became interested in politics. It was like everybody was talking about issues. People were more involved, whether that was for the right cause or wrong cause, who knows? I know you had the protests around BLM, but you also had the trucker convoy protests. You had a lot of political activity when you remove the noise of just struggling to get by.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of seeing in this country, is that they've put so many barriers in place to make it difficult to be politically active. And the folks who are just trying to get ahead don't have time to be politically active. And I think that's it's a challenge because, you're trying to take care of your kids, you're trying to take care of your community. And at the same time, you're trying to survive. To be pushing on this government it's a lot to ask of people, and it's hard. So for those who can, we really appreciate you doing that. And that's kind of why we do what we do, is to try and push against this multi-billion-dollar propaganda machine.
That lost $192 million.
Right.
AZ Mono I can't do it. I tried a second time, can't do it. Says, good morning, comrades. Canada is now the Poland my family and I escaped from just 40 years ago. Gee. That's something to say. Dang. Alex, do you know, it is funny, man. I didn't tell you this story. When I was in Calgary, we did that whole ranchments thing. I had two older Polish women come up to me. He's like, hey, we want a photo with you. I was like, yeah, sounds good. She's like, we hate communists.
Oh my God.
I was like, instead of saying cheese, there's just say, we hate communists. We came from Poland. We hate it all.
Do you know what's wild? It's the fact that calling somebody a Nazi is the worst thing in the book. Mm-hmm. Calling somebody a communist is not.
No, man. It's funny how that's transitioned.
Communism, which has led to the death of millions more people than Nazism, not saying one is good, saying that they're both evil.
Yeah.
Why is one considered hate speech and evil and the other one not? How can you fly the sickle and hammer and be like, this is an okay symbol, but a swastika, is not? They should both be not okay.
Yep. I agree with that, man. Alex Pittman says, I point to liberals that I'm anti-liberal because of science. If you look at all the data, the liberals have failed us so bad. Follow the science. Follow the data. Nylock says China owns the WEF, and with everything going on, they're going to hide it less. They're calling the globalists to China and turning them on U.S. more.
I think what it is China owns the debt, right?
That's true. That's a very
So it's not so much that they own the WEF; it's they own the debt of the WEF, and they own the manufacturing of the WEF. So basically, what happens is because they own the debt, because they own the manufacturing, they can basically say to a country, you're going to play ball with us, because if you don't, we're going to create such economic turmoil and maybe delay shipments of things that you need that your people are going to rebuke you and you're not going to be elected. So it's an interesting way that they've kind of got some of these countries, by the gonads here. So, and that's the thing that I worry about with Canada, with them sending their delegates and the Bank of Canada and the folks who run the CPP and that whole very dangerous crew over to Beijing. I'm like, oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So
I agree. We got to move on here, though. I want to get these stories in. We're almost an hour into this.
oh, wow.
Yeah, look at us go. So Joe Rogan on the gun confiscation program covered this with his interview with Theo Vaughn yesterday. He surfaced it. And yeah, I thought this was, I like that he gave time for this because it's really important. It goes back to your point from earlier there, Reg, that we're starting to see, this is like more of the proper attention I want to see. And I thought this was good.
Play this type shit right here.
Government's response? Cool. We're sending police to your house.
The declaration period for firearms owners is scheduled to end next week. So far, only 2.5% of the estimated 2 million affected firearms have been declared.
2%.
And 98% of firearms owners haven't made a declaration.
Canada banned 2,500 types of firearms, gave gun owners until March 31st, essentially today, to declare them. 1 week before the deadline, 2.5% compliance. 2.5. That's not a slow rollout. That's a full-on rejection.
So if they're not declaring by next week, what's your plan, Minister?
The plan we have is as of March the 31st, the time to complete the enrollment will be done, and then the RCMP and other agencies will be available throughout the spring and the summer to do the collection.
The collection?
Wow. Do the collection.
Like he's speaking about dry cleaning, not firearms, not property that belonged to law-abiding citizens before the government decided
That's my friend
it didn't
Coley
anymore.
So, Minister, you're saying that RCMP members, we just heard an Auditor General report saying we're short 3,400 members. We're dealing with a wave of violent crime across this country. And you're saying that your plan is over the spring and the summer to deploy RCMP officers to go door to door to firearms owners and seize their firearms?
So this is a voluntary program, Mr. Lloyd, as you're aware. And the RCMP resources and the resources we will use retire.
Go back to
I can ask
Yeah, participate in your program.
The Minister of Public Safety accidentally told the truth, and he was recorded doing it. He said that the gun grab is not worth the money.
He doubts local police will have the resources to enforce the Liberals' mandatory gun buyback program and says the reason the Prime Minister is sticking with the policy is to appease voters in Quebec.
He privately admitted the police can't even
Look at his
enforce
face.
it. He said they're doing
The
it
face that they
to
picked
win votes.
in the
guy?
screenshot. Look at his
This
face
was never
behind him.
about
They
safety.
picked the worst
Go
face.
back
to his
name.
Go back to his name. Half now they're like, now it's 42, now it's 47. Now
and you
it's,
could have a marijuana arrest now.
Yeah, they're letting anybody in that bitch.
Hey,
Dude.
little weed. What's the big thing?
So the reason why I thought this was important is just because they just like were celebrating the fact that, yeah, like Canada's saying no to this. Like it's a good thing. And then also giving a world stage of, again, what's going on in Canada, which I think is very positive.
Yeah.
So I thought this was an important segment for Canada.
And it's so funny that they chose to use that as the policy, right?
Yeah.
Like even from like the Liberal perspective, that was the policy that they hit down on. And we have so many other problems in this country, and they're like the gun buyback program. That's it. Like why?
It is an interesting one for them to die on, right? Like especially if they got caught red-handed with that recording saying, "Oh, this is useless. It's not going to work out." It's they that was so damning for them. And people are just like, yeah, we're definitely not listening because like we're Tracy Wilson's leading a march here.
Yeah,
it's a week.
I was just saying a week.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's huge. It's big news. And what's chat saying on that? I'm curious. Here we go. Holy smokes.
We missed a lot.
Yeah, we do. R.C. Lamner did say that Daniel Smith, that's not Daniel Smith, that was an actor, by the way.
Oh my God.
And Nylock says, Daniel has done independence a solid. She has made it so independence is a standalone question. Only if it fails will she pursue other questions. Cliff Riley says, come on, Cannon, you can do it. USA. Ken Dansk has become a new member. Let's go. Wakendon says the irony is that these commies don't realize that the hammer and sickle represent labor.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Isn't that true?
It's such a good point.
Like, they don't even understand the history of the symbols that they're holding up.
Well, even talking about like the one with the fist too, like that's a huge symbol of just like unified together, like, you know, smashing whatever. But these are all communist symbols that have been used, and that's why I always found it very fascinating. It caught my eye when the likes of Black Lives Matter using the fist, these other movements using the commie fist. Like, I'm just like, guys, do you realize what you're pushing out here? Some of them probably do, but others don't. So comes back to our lack of education around the issue. Mark Blanco says, it's funny when a super chat leaves Josh speechless. I'm sure it is. I'm curious what that experience is like for you guys. Lazarus says, I've been called a Nazi so many times. I just tell them at least the man with the funny mustache had the trains running on time. He wills.
So this is the problem, right? It's like
people are just
don't validate one evil,
yeah,
because something else is worse.
Yeah,
you call it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're just a liberal.
Yeah,
you can't pick and choose your integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
anyway,
agreed. The Happy Wanderer says, happy Easter, everyone. Feeling blessed this morning. Thank you so much, Josh and Reg. This pod brought me out of a dark place a year ago. I'm so grateful to be part of this community. Thanks, bruv. Oh, that means a lot to hear that.
We're so happy that you have found a good spot, like, because there's a lot of people struggling right now. And I think that's the whole point of the Feel Good Friday, is to really kind of create that community for you so that, you know, you're not crazy, that the world is crazy, and that we're in it together. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here.
100%. Ron McDio says, what I mean by weakness is the lack of the individual to stand up for what they value, because it's easier in the moment to not say anything. Canadians, by and large, interpret not rocking the boat as being polite. Ergo, weakness has become a virtue.
Okay. Yeah, I totally get that. I think that it's less that it's easier in the moment to not say anything, because I really think that it's that people don't even know the conversation is happening because they're so busy. They're so head down. But I do think that, like, there is that idea in Canada that, like, we don't disrupt the social norm, that everybody is together, we blend in, we do things together. Whereas in the states, it is more of an individual first. So somebody will stand up and call something out because they have more of a, an individualistic kind of mentality. Whereas Canada's more collectivist in that way. So I get what you're saying, and I do agree with you. I just think I don't want to get into the habit of, like, blaming people when they're actually there's a lot of people just trying to get there.
So I'll push back on that a little bit. I take your point of, like, people are busy. 100%. I can get on board with that argument. The one I can't get on board with is, I go back to this example, is when people were just locked in their homes, COVID. Well, a lot of people didn't want to rock the boat. They were feeling a specific way, but didn't want to do anything about it until a group of truckers went to Ottawa. That's the type of issue I think that comment's referring to.
Yeah, that's fair.
When there is really nothing else to do, and this is BS, but you're afraid to speak out. Like, I think that's something to be said there.
Yeah, it's almost like in Canada we have such a risk aversion. We see it in, like, multiple different things. Like we have this cultural risk aversion. We have an industry risk aversion where, you don't want to start a new business because what if it fails? And I think in the cultural risk aversion, we're like, well, what if somebody says something and then I'm, like, ousted, from the in group. So yeah, I get what you're saying there. And it's funny because maybe I'm looking at it through my own lens of, like, well, when COVID lockdowns were happening, I was saying, everybody come outside to my house. We're having a bonfire in the backyard and everybody else can like it, basically. So, and it was funny because, like, at the time, like, my wife was working in the healthcare system. I was working in the healthcare system. All of our friends were working in the healthcare system. We were all just burnt out and drained from, caring for others with COVID. And so we were just like, you know what, if we're going to get exposed, we're going to get exposed at work. We just need a moment to have a beer around a fire right now and just be people. And that was seen as, like, I remember, like, other friends, other family members, neighbors that were just like, I can't believe you've done that. You're healthcare workers. You should know better. And it's like, we do know better. Like the science is not lining up with what's being said. Yeah. So it's funny, like, because I think maybe I am more of a rebellious spirit and you are as well, that like, and we have this strong idea of right and wrong, that maybe I am like putting that on others as well. And maybe that isn't the case for everyone. But I'd like to see that. I'd like to hope that people do.
I think it goes mainly back to like I just remember so vividly the conversations I had during that time, and as well as the stance a lot of my friends took, and I can never get that out of my head. I think that's the big thing for me.
Don't go for a run, Josh.
Don't go for a run.
Yeah, don't go for a run. Like you need to wear a mask at all times, and if you leave your home, my God, you're sending people to death.
Yeah, that's fair. It's true. It's true. Wickenden says, newsflash, voluntold does not equal voluntary. True.
Yeah.
It's true. Red Tank Girl.
5
specifically. I just got stuck on that name. Anyways, happy Easter and happy Passover. Thank you so much. Yeah, shout out the homies. Celebrating Passover too. Apparently, did you catch what I said at the start of the show with all the stuff going on in BC right now?
With the corruption?
Yeah.
Yes.
Gee, I can't wait to get into that, man. Mark says, I can't encourage you both enough to network with like-minded young folks with their great communication skills and stand together in public. Mm-hmm. Yes, we are working on that.
Man,
stuff.
I love Mark. Mark is awesome.
He's the best. He's the best, man.
He's probably my favorite American.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Yeah. Nylok says it's not strange. It's the Marxist playbook. Disarm the people who can resist. Criminals can be arrested whenever they need to arrest the resistance first. That goes back to the point I even made yesterday through Bruce Party. Mm-hmm. That Carney is 100% engaging in anarcho-tyranny. That's just where we're at now. And Mark says, Ronnie McDio outbid me today. Bravo. Yeah, he did. So we're going to move on. We're caught up now. We're going to move on to the next story of the day that I really want to get into, especially with Reg here. Dude, this is freaking crazy. Keean Bexte from Juno News, who's hosting the debate, by the way, and going on in BC, said this. Caroline Elliott initially committed to attend the only BC Conservative leadership debate taking place before the membership cutoff. This is the moment members will decide who becomes the next premier of British Columbia. It's a big deal. Then things took a turn. After agreeing to the date, format, and venue, Elliott's campaign went ahead and bought out nearly every ticket to the venue. General admission was $50, VIP was $100. They cleared it out. Deep pockets, impressive, I guess. We weren't going to let one campaign control the audience, so we moved the debate to a larger venue. Every campaign deserves a fair crowd. No issue there. At that point, Elliott backed out and announced a mix and mingle event on the other side of the province. This isn't simply a matter of avoiding other candidates like Yuri Fulmer, Ian Black, Carrie Lynn Finley, Warren Ham, or Peter Milbar. Campaigns who make strategic decisions all the time. This is about attempting to control access to voters, lighting a pile of cash on fire, then walking away when that failed. What's proceeding with the debate, Elliott is welcome to reconsider. She will be treated fairly and given the same opportunity as everyone else. But right now, voters are left with a simple question. Why try to block people from attending a debate? If I were a donor, I'd want an answer to that. And if that is how a campaign handles a debate, it raises the bigger questions about how they'll handle power moving forward.
That's completely correct. Like if you are in the habit of using money to silence people, is that who you want leading a province?
Yeah, man.
Like wild.
I want to bring attention to this because I know some people are very they're dialed in. We'll know this already. But let's just pull this up for 2 seconds here, folks. Let's keep in mind who the campaign manager is for Caroline Elliott. Corey Tenike, the guy who him and Doug Ford just tried to sewer Poilievre in the last election. That's the guy who's running her campaign right now with a handful of others. The campaign obviously has come out and said that this is not true, and we'll read their statement here shortly. But regardless, you can say what you want about Keean Bexte, but what advantage is it to him to lie about this? He's the neutral party in this. Yeah. What advantage is it to him to lie about this, about your campaign? Like that would actually ruin his reputation and Juno News if it were not true.
Yeah.
So what motivation does he have to lie about this? When you see guys like Corey Tenike in the background, people have questions.
Well, you know what the argument's going to be. He's rage baiting. He just wants the clicks and the views.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it would be the most short-sighted rage bait that you've ever seen if that was the case. Yeah, it's wild.
Dude, is like all the people are commenting on this. Wyatt Claypool says Caroline's campaign will eventually replace her with a Caroline 2.0, which will be just a pile of cash vaguely stacked in the shape of her.
Oh my God.
Wyatt's so savage, dude. But Tracy's like, why are PC politics such a mess? Like, everyone's looking at this being, what the frig is even this? Like, no one gets it. And so this is a response from the campaign. Real Nick Kuvalis says, Anthony Coach is our director of communications and is observing Passover right now. It's a major Jewish holiday. Thanks for the update. He will return before Sunday and will address what you stated below. His version is very different from yours. Regardless, this campaign dealt with Juno professionally and has explained our position to the members of the party via email tonight, which you can see below. And this was it. So I don't know if I can even zoom in on that. But alas, like, I'm trying to see if I can like kind of distill this down.
I love how they're trying to throw the shade on the NDP too. Like they're like, oh, we only raised 2 million. They raised 10 in the NDP.
Yeah,
like that's not what we're talking about here.
I can read the first few paragraphs and this will make sense. At the start of the leadership race, the Conservative Party BC had less than 7,000 members and had raised it to $2 million to precede the year, compared to 40,000 members, he said, the NDP. If we want to win the next election, we need to build our party. We need more members and close the gap in fundraising. The leadership race provides the best opportunity to do that. The leadership candidate team that demonstrates the strongest ability to do those things will win the leadership. The leadership race campaigns to sell memberships until April 18th, meaning we have just over 2 weeks left to sign up for more British Columbians to vote in the leadership race. And they go to finish off saying, our focus is on trying to get people to sign up. We're not focused on debates right now. So that's what they came back with.
Love it.
Okay.
And it's like, this is what we have as the conservative side of this. Like, no wonder the left is eating up votes in different spots. Like, they look at this and they're like, those people are crazy.
Yeah.
Like, just so frustrating.
They're just doing what liberals do, dude. Like, I think, like, if there's truth to this, which I tend to believe it is, that's like the most like Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney, Gerald Butts, Katie Telford crap that you could pull.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's so greasy on so many levels. So.
Mark has given us
a
more breakdown.
Sorry. I thought we were getting roasted for a second there. I was like, oh, baby, here we go. But that's like, I want to get back to this point so crucially is, like, obviously, I get so frustrated with the Progressive Conservative Party in this province, you know. But man, like, people are looking for like hope and true conservatism right now, and want a serious pushback against all the BS they're seeing, especially in BC right now. What's going on with all the land claims and all that crap? Like, those people need some hope right now, and to see with this, gee, good luck.
Yeah, well, it's pretty bad when you're making the NDP look good.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's kind of this weird situation where it's like, you need to call out the lack of integrity and the problematic behavior. But at the same time, it's like, but you're also sewering like the conservative side of the argument. So it's just like, I think whoever wins this is going to have a lot of work to try and establish that the party is a party of integrity and not a party that's going to just, you know, bow to the highest dollar, because that has always been the argument of the left, right? So I think that they need to get rid of her as fast as humanly possible out of this scene, just because she's going to sewer the entire reputation of conservatives in BC right now. So,
well, that's been one of the main criticisms of her. She's gone into her campaign is that, you know, she has, you know, on record multiple times kind of espoused the more like left-wing ideology of different issues. So people were really were suspect of her being a conservative in general. And so this is where I'm curious where this goes. And I know guys like, you know, Wyatt Claypool. Let's talk about, you know, Wyatt Claypool said was funny, but let's not pretend that he doesn't have a stake in this. Like, he's, you know, very much helping out, you know, Dallas Brody and that coalition of the conservative movement. So he's been calling out Caroline Elliott since she announced. He's like, she's not a real conservative. He was going off. And then to see this happen, I'm like, because I was kind of in the headspace because like, I'm obviously on the opposite side of the country. I'm disconnected from what's going on with BC politics. And so I was like, wait and see. I don't know. I've seen some things, videos of her that I've like, raised some eyebrows, but also seen some things where I'm like, okay, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I can see where she's coming from. That's dope. Then to see that happen, I was like, all right, well, we see now.
Yeah.
We see now. So, Are You Baking says, I agree that much of Canada is risk averse, but I think what our government did with the Emergencies Act created that risk aversion for many more.
Definitely, right? So it's because now it's real, because you look at what happened to Merrill Lynch and with, oh my gosh, his name
Chris
is
Barber.
Chris Barber, that, they serve jail time. There's charges being laid just because they organized this, right? So I think that
nothing illegal, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the risk aversion, like you said, it only got deeper, and they know that, right? And that's why they're trying to bring this across the courts again.
Yeah,
like they're just trying to really make sure that you speak out against this government. You can pro-Palestine, pro-Iran, pro-Khalistan, pro every terrorist organization out there,
but pro-Canada.
But Canada, oof. Don't do that. Don't criticize your government.
No, not allowed.
That is not allowed.
Because we wear red, and red's for Canada.
Yeah.
Marcon Blanco says, your live participants watching to your subscriber ratio is solid versus what other high-end YouTube channels. Bravo. At IBM, we measured everything. Grow, baby, grow. Elevate. Thanks, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, Mark's like our number one cheerleader, and I'm here for it. And then RC Lamoureux says, arrest criminal political bureaucratic cartel. That would be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So the challenge with that, because I've often thought that, I'm like, how do you bring in the legal system into our political system so it's not warped in a way that you can arrest your political opponents, but it's still a part of it so that you keep people accountable.
Yeah.
And I think it really, because I know you said this, I think on Tuesday's show, maybe Wednesday.
It's probably yesterday.
About the idea that the RCMP have completely become beholden to the federal government and that they're not separate entities. And I think that's where we need to separate that. The other challenge I see is that, there's almost like this legislating from the bench or from the bar with our judiciary, where they are kind of determining what the policies are. And then that is what becomes law. So I think that we really need a fundamental shift in how this is done in our country and how accountability is measured, how our legal system operates, such that we can keep our politicians accountable without introducing new mechanisms to quell dissent, but at the same time also keeping our CMP separate so that they can do the job that they need to do. Because some of these folks, if they were in private industry, they would immediately be called up on charges of embezzlement, charges of, insider trading, like just outright lying to the stakeholders. Like it's just like none of this would fly in the private world, but yet it's somehow okay in the public. So that's where I just get frustrated.
I think the example you bring up there too, which I find the most funny, is that if any of those companies were found guilty of those things, who's clamping down on them?
Yeah.
Oh, the government.
Yeah.
So that,
or you just change your name and you go after new government contracts anyway, like a train, maybe.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Right, imagine that. We'll get into that. So, RC Lamoureux also says Canada governments won't get away with their crime. All right. Gravity Kills says, just went to CBC's site to read about the China trip story, and its story is nowhere on the front page. Had to go to full politics page. It's buried. Of course it is. Of course it is. As I said yesterday with the Peter Menzies piece, there's less pool of money of subsidies going to journalists. So it's going to be slashing each other's throats of who can suck up to daddy more. And then there's going to be the few that say, no more of this. We're going to be real journalists. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And I know Nylock and I had said the same thing in the chat the other day. It was just that this is why you're seeing more, feet to the fire with this government. We're not seeing like nearly enough. Where you're seeing a little bit creep up there, it's because they're getting annoyed. One, that they're not getting access to the folks to speak to. Like, how many times have you seen, the Prime Minister on late night television with like show hosts from away, but not in the newsrooms of our broadcasters in Canada? They're pissed about that. They're annoyed. And so I think that they like build up that annoyance with the fact that now they're starting to cut funding to the CBC. I think you're going to see a bit of a shift, but you're right. But there will be those that are just like, okay, maybe I need to suck up more in order to make sure that I'm okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the chips fall.
Yeah, we'll see how Abka's data does, doesn't it? I wanted to, we're going to do here. I want to give a little bit of a, since it's a 2-hour episode today, we're doing some different things. We've covered most of the stories we wanted to cover today. However, we're going to cover one last one, which is a Feel Good Friday story. Then we're going to finish off me and Red talking about the Alto project. And that will be fun. That's how we're going to finish our show today. So it'll be fun.
I know that people have been bugging the chat too about the results from the polls. So I have those too, if you want.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Yeah.
So we'll do the Feel Good Friday piece, and then we'll get to Reg's polls, and then we'll get into the Alto project. But I thought this was fun. So obviously, a lot of people are putting a lot of emphasis on this individual here for being the first black person to fly around the moon on this Artemis project. And this is what he had to say about being the first black man to visit the moon.
It is a big question, and I want to highlight, I guess, maybe one facet of this is the tension, I call it. I live in this, this dichotomy between happiness that a young woman can look at Christina and just physicalize her passion or her interest, or even if it's not something she wants to do, she can just be like girl power, and that's awesome. And that young brown boys and girls can look at me and go, hey, he looks like me and he's doing what? And that's great. I love that. But I also hope we are pushing the other direction, that one day we don't have to talk about these first, that one day this is just, and I listen to this, that this is the human history. It's about human history. It's the story of humanity, not black history, not women's history, but that it becomes human history.
Almost like Martin Luther King when he said that I dream a dream of when we can judge people by,
content of their character.
Their content of their character, not the color of their skin.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a fascinating
Wow. Thing. That was only said, 70 years ago?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's unreal, isn't it? I thought that was cool. I think because especially when you're at that stage, I've talked to several of my friends from these various communities, and the pressure gets put on them to rep the community, to be on that type of stage and be like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like, I can see how we're giving hope to certain people, but this is for humanity, baby. Like, that's in this environment, especially being a black person from those communities, and then on top of like the white liberals who will lose their minds, like that's a big thing to say, and I'm happy to see it. I'm happy that you took that stance. That's big, which I love. But Reg, let's get to some data results.
Okay, I just sent you the PDF.
Is that via text?
Via text.
All right, cool. Let's pull it up here.
But basically, we had 710 responses to the last one. And what I did with these results that I thought was kind of fun was I didn't pull these policies from anywhere. I made sure that I pulled them from other countries that are doing this or doing it well, and then some that we're actually seeing in our own country. So let's see if we can bring it up there. Perfect. So to kind of keep it light too, so that you don't fall asleep on me, go down to this one. So it was funny because I did gender and age. So we see that we have a really good breakdown of age. There's lots of folks over different ages. So that's the first pie chart there. And then when you get down to gender, what was really funny was that, so I put man, woman, other. And every comment, I'm not going to lie, every comment in that was like some dude being like, gender is binary. And then like one person was just like, I identify as having a big D.
Oh my gosh. This is what you get for having open cell for that.
But I'm not gonna lie, I laughed so hard when I saw that. That was hilarious. And then when we look at that, the breakdown of people who responded, obviously a lot of conservative folks. Like, thank you so much for supporting. And so, but what we noticed with this one is that we actually had more folks from other parties, like significantly more. So word's getting out there, which is fantastic. And so that's kind of the breakdown of who responds. So 710. Pretty equal on ages, pretty equal on gender, and then we had more folks from the opposite of the aisle, which was fantastic. I would love hearing their voices too. So we go down. So we said, what area of affordability concerns you the most right now?
Wow.
Overwhelmingly, food and groceries. Now, if I was to do this again today, probably transportation and fuel would be taking a larger chunk of this, but overwhelmingly food and groceries and housing. And then when you got into the write-in, everybody was saying like, I can't afford any of this. So, all of the above applies to me. So that's where you see that other. So then when you look at the top policies that came in, so we had restrict large institutional investors from purchasing detached homes. So that's a housing policy. The next one, increase the basic federal tax-free income amount, which I've been screaming from the rooftops, and then remove GST from all food and prepared food products. So those were your top 3 priorities across, ideologies, across the spectrum for folks who are younger, who are older, who are conservative, who are liberal. Everyone ultimately agreed that those were the top priorities. And so then I did a little bit of a breakdown of each one of those ones. So 84% of you saying that you strongly support restricting these large institutional investors. And so what's interesting about this one is this one's a proposed American policy, but Netherlands and Germany also have some of these policies, similarly. And then New Zealand, Australia, Singapore restricts foreign corporate buyers from buying their homes. So it's like, this isn't a new policy anywhere. So anybody who's looking at this is like, Conservative Party, you can make this your policy. 84% of folks agreeing that this needs to happen. And like I said, it's not new. You can see it in other parts of the world. So the next one is increasing basic income tax. So right now, the federal income tax that you can say, tax-free, 15 grand, almost 16 grand.
Yeah.
Who can survive off that?
Yeah.
It's absurd. And then if you look at like Saskatchewan in their most recent budget, they actually bumped their amount of allowable up to 65K. So conservatives, this is an easy win for you, party. Come on. Like 82, almost 83% of people saying that they support it. When you throw in the other 9, you're looking at like 92% of folks saying this is what we need.
Wow.
Should have grabbed some water here. Throat's pretty raw.
True.
Anyway, so then when you get into removing the GST from foods, so Manitoba actually took off its GST off food in their most recent budget. 83% of people, 82% of people strongly supporting that.
Oh.
Next one. When you look at like the well-supported policy, so these are over 70%, but not quite as high as the other ones. Allowing homeowners to deduct property taxes, capping credit card interest rates, exempting overtime earnings, and then allowing, your primary interest paid on your primary residence to be deducted from your federal income tax, also over 70%. If you go scroll down to the next one, these all come from other places, like the first one there. So allowing homeowners to deduct property taxes, there's actually a thing called SALT in the States. It's a state and local tax deduction. They have a maximum of $10,000 that you can take off of your income tax because they realize it's double taxation. When you cap credit card interest rate, 76 countries in the world already have some form of cap. The US is currently proposing this. And then Canada, our solution to this was that we lowered the amount that you could charge from 48% to 35%. And that was Bill C-47.
Freaking insane.
Why is it up into 2023 that we thought 48% was okay?
Yeah.
Like, this is absurd. And then you look at exempting overtime earnings. France and Belgium already do this up to a cap, and then the US is currently proposing it right now. And then if you look at allowing homeowners to deduct their mortgage interest rates, the Netherlands allows for a full deduction. Sweden and Denmark allow for partial deductions. And then there's the mortgage interest deduction rate in the United States. So they have you can only be a home that's $750,000 in value, and it's a certain amount as a percentage with some line items. So they have like more rules, but these are not uncommon, and these are across Western countries. And especially what's interesting is that you've got Singapore, you've got Netherlands, you've got Sweden, Denmark, all these countries that have high happiness, have high productivity, have like some of the best spots to open businesses, and it's like they're all removing the taxes on what it is to just be able to live in a country.
Right.
And so when I look at all this, I'm like, Conservative Party, here you go. Here's my gift to you.
Yeah, here's
like
some policies to
the
think
people want it. The policies are there, and they're not something that's like weird and out of the blue and random. So that's what we found. So thank you so much, everybody, for filling that out. The 710 of you that took the time to complete that, really appreciate it. It was really insightful, and I hope that hope that you got something from that. I know that there was a couple super chats that came in.
Yeah, no, I think that's super cool, and I think everyone should give a shout out to Reg for the work he's doing on this, and especially I also implore the Conservative Party to also give Reg a shout out for giving you some ideas that you could literally run on tomorrow if you so chose to. But the problem is sometimes the weight and heavy bloated bureaucracy that stands behind the Conservative Party can tend to get in the way. So, alas, there we go. But some super chats before we move on.
Tell Carney to find the keys to the Humvee.
Yeah, Kendon says, you'll never find a justice system run by criminals. We have a legal system, and that system runs on money. They'll do everything to keep that laundromat running. Huge cash cow. Yeah, that's fair play. Bandit249 Sauce says, tell Carney to go find the keys for the Humvee. Gee. And Mark on Blanco says, how about a super live with 10 YouTubers with 250,000 subs? It'd be a 2.5 million subs total. Yes, that's something I do want to work on. We need to do a better job at trying to coordinate and make something like that happen.
The challenge with like some of those like super lives is that like there's like almost like a sweet spot of like enough voices that it's like a cool crossover episode. But then there's so many that it becomes like one of those like bad romance movies where they have every actor's face on the cover. So it's a delicate balance. I don't think 10 is probably going to be the way to go, Mark, but definitely like grab a few other folks. It's going to be fun.
I mean, I think we were planning on it back in February. We're trying to make something like that happen.
Yeah.
Bring everyone together. It just kind of fell apart, but we were trying to get back and doing that. It'd be good. RC Lamoureux says, Moon Trip is all fantasy. You can't leave the firmament. Okay. Image Maker is a new member. Oh man, Homebred Cat.
Again,
100 new memberships today.
That's incredible.
That's insane. That's like $300.
Yeah, Homebred Cat dropped memberships yesterday too.
Yeah,
and a $300 donation.
Yeah, on top of that.
Holy crap! Like, thank you so much. That's like huge generosity.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk.
RC Lamoureux says Canada is a failed state being sold to China. Oh, gee.
If you scroll up there, we skipped over one there. Yeah, it says, Reg, did you email this to the Conservatives? No, I have not. But it is not something that they don't know because, Josh and I have been talking about this a while. Josh brought it up with the Conservative Party that they really need to focus on income tax. We had Wyatt Claypool on here before, and he said like income tax needs to be the focus of this party. I just don't know how else we can tell them, that this needs to be the primary objective, especially right now with the cost of food, the cost of fuel, just the cost of life. And then you put that right next to the clip of Mark Carney saying, this is the most affordable time that we've had in 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like, stick the two of them right together, put that juxtaposition out there and let people kind of deal with that.
Yeah, I think the thing too was, I know already what one of the comebacks will be to that. It's like, well, Poilievre yesterday announced that they want to cut gas taxes, which I think, was the thing to say for sure. But that would be the comeback to something you just said here.
That we want to cut gas taxes, so don't cut income tax?
No. Is more so that it's like, oh no, we're doing what you've said. Like, we're looking at affordability issues, and this is one of the affordability issues. Is that, hey, we should cut taxes on gas. That's going to help with affordability. I'm sure that will be the comeback that some would say in the party.
So it's like it's a yes and.
Yeah,
it's not a but.
Yeah.
The other thing too is like, I don't know if you were watching that live stream of Poilievre actually announcing the cut to gas. What I think was kind of disappointing was that I thought that was a fantastic policy option to put out there, which was like completely squashed by all the questions about the train.
Yeah.
It just like, he had the sign up there being like, yeah, like we're gonna fight to cut gas taxes because it's tax on top of tax. And he said that in his delivery, and I was like, okay, awesome, that's great, that's fantastic. And then the reporters came in, they're like, tell us about the train. I was like, God damn it, this stupid train. But anyway.
Yeah, it's I guess that's a great segue because that is, we got some tough love coming from Cliff Riley, an American who watches the show, saying, Canada, pull your head out of your booty hole. You live in a very corrupt society. You can fix it with the voting, polling for you, USA. There it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for cheering us on. Much appreciated. But we get to the Alto train stuff, man. I've had some time to think on this one. I was very diplomatic in my approach on it when I first talked about it. And now I've had some time to like reflect on it. And this is by far a huge misstep by the party. Huge misstep from strategy, from my perspective. Oh, hilarious. And this is the thing I struggle with it, right? I completely and utterly agree with the argument. Like, it's a ridiculous amount of money that just, I'm like, we just can't afford right now.
Yeah.
We can't afford. But to come out as a strategy to saying, no. I was like, right now, I don't think you guys realize that Canadians across the board are hopeless. This was something that they could actually look forward to, regardless of how you feel, how it came about, and how it had some probably nefarious origin. 100% agree with that. But like the regular Canadians is like, oh, this would be so cool. We could build this. And you're coming out saying, no. Not a no, but just no. That you just come across as the wet blanket. And no one, and again, I like all the arguments I agree with, like the expropriation of land. The Blanchet brought this up himself. The idea of how much it's going to cost, the fact it's going to be so many subsidies to keep it going. There's so many issues. Like, it's not even going to be a profitable project the way it's going. But I'd be curious, can we bring in a private element to this? Can we get some quotes on this? Can we at least deliver a couple like, hey, we'd love, because for goodness sakes, Conservative Party, the train was in your platform.
Yeah.
The train was in your platform. So you just come out and say, no. It's just, it seems weird.
Well, and it's the fact that you had Blanchet who came out and said, yes, and.
Yeah.
It's like even if you're conservative, like, I kind of like, I'll push back on your no but, because I think the no but is still wrong. I think it's yes, and instead, because then you are like fighting against that narrative. Like, conservatives are just, they're always, pushing Canada down and they're never positive and everything like that. This was a yes and moment. Blanchet did that. And I'm so glad that you called out too on his post, because this is kind of boring. There's not really anything to it. And you're like, no, there's a part about the private element. And I was like, oh yeah, I totally skipped over that. Looking at the fact that Blanchet was like, let's make sure that this actually makes sense from an accounting perspective. Let's get some quotes out here. Let's do an RFP. Let's do this properly if we're going to do it. And unfortunately, like, land expropriation happens when you do a major development project. We know that it sucks for the people who are in the way, but it's like one of those awful kind of crappy pieces that's necessary for the greater good kind of thing. But like, the problem is that everybody likes trains. Nobody's going to go like, no, I don't want a Magnalift in Canada. No, I don't want something that's, a wonder of technology that would be the first major investment into our infrastructure in like decades. Like, we're looking at the CN Tower and the St. Lawrence Seaway and being like, those are our last infrastructure projects, or the Confederation Bridge. Like, we need something like that. So, and they were like, okay, this is going to be this major high-speed train. It could open up the idea of like, maybe the idea is that we put one between, Montreal and Toronto. We put one between Edmonton and Calgary. Like, why, if we're going to do all this work, maybe we can get a 2-for-1 deal kind of thing. Like, maybe there's economies of scale that we can look at. Maybe there's other provinces that could be connected by rail. And we look at this and say, okay, and then maybe we can use Canadian nuclear with Canadian mined uranium to power this all. So therefore the cost of it goes down because we're using our inputs. And even if we are spending the money, then the money will go back into our economy, and it's a little more circular in that way. But none of that was said. It was just like, this is expensive and it's a bad idea. And it's like, nobody's gonna like that.
Yeah.
Nobody is gonna like that.
And it goes back to your point to start off is, you come out with a good policy idea with scrapping right now, temporarily scrapping the tax on our gas right now, and it gets completely squashed because of you doing that. It's just like, no one's talking about scrapping the gas. I mean, I saw some headlines, don't get me wrong, but more people are focused on the train than you are about getting rid of the tax on gas right now. And it's just like such a bummer.
And they could have, like, the thing with the gas tax one is they could have brought up in the House of Commons, they could be like, countries are giving people like days off in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
People are sending, like, they're reversing on the work from home stuff that, you know, they had given people the option to work from home. Now they're telling them they have to be in the office again. Now they're telling them to go work from home again. Like, there's a complete backtrack in multiple countries around the world. And you could say that in the House of Commons and say, why is this government not acting in the best interest of Canadians, and push it back to affordability, and then spearhead with your idea of removing the gas tax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and like talk about the fact that taxes are a punishment. They're a deterrent. Like, so go down that route.
Yeah.
But no, it's completely consumed by the train talk now.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. You someone yelled at you in the super chats, dude.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so someone yelled at you. First off, Nylock says, so sorry guys. Apparently my merch guy used Canada Post and they've had a delay. Your hoodies won't arrive till the 8th. Just checked the tracker. LOL. Rest in peace. Jeep in with Joe dropped $70 on the show.
Oh my gosh.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talks. I love that he put 69.
Yeah.
99. Not 70, 69.
Yeah.
Just
Jasmine
so we know.
Nicole says, did you hear how Scheer was asked about the difference between expropriation for pipelines versus the train on CTV? I only read about it. I didn't actually hear it for myself, but also not surprised by, of course, we got to alienate pipelines, and but we're going to promote the train. Yeah, 100%. Josh D. Simmons has this to say to you, sir. Get this liberal traitor off your show. And he made sure to spend $5 to let us know.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. But like the question is like, what was the liberal thing? Now I'm like intrigued
because you're promoting trains probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Trains are awesome. Everybody likes trains. Shut up.
Just needs to go faster.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you're talking to the guy who drives a motorcycle for fun. Like, I want to go as fast as humanly possible.
This is the conversation we were having on the chat last night on the members only. And this is where I stand on it, where I'm like, you know, it's like, yeah, we're going to build this amazing train. It goes 350 kilometers an hour. I was like, yeah, all the ones that were built like over 10 years ago in these other countries go that fast. The new ones they're building go like 500.
Yeah, I want a Magna lift that goes 500.
Yeah, let's do it. And like, what's also maybe talk to Elon and figure out how he was going to get his Hyperloop to go 900 kilometers an hour. I want to figure out how the heck that was going to work.
So I feel like with Elon though, he's kind of like Trumpian in that like he's like going to talk a big talk about a thing. He'll get there eventually, but I think like Hyperloop is still like 20 years out. I think the technology just isn't there yet.
Yeah.
But he's also the guy that was like, we're going to land a rocket, and they made it happen. He had like talked about doing that many years before they actually made it possible. But I like the idea that somebody would actually, who's forward thinking, who will take the risk, who will put the investment in to make something like that happen. So I'm not saying no, but I'm just saying like, if airlines and things like that are as crappy as they are, like, why not have a high speed train that will travel at 500 kilometers an hour, take you from Halifax to Toronto in, 2 hours by train? Fantastic.
That'd be unreal.
Sign me up.
That'd be unreal. But there's a lot of people are coming in saying, hey, I disagree with you guys, which I think is fantastic. Let's keep the disagreements going. RC Lamoureux says, sirloin steak premium AAA Alberta beef with specialty run higher. Some options costing around $43.89 a kilogram or $20 a pound. The country strength's taken out.
Yeah, so the problem with that is, so I recently just bought fencing actually from a farmer, and he was talking about the fact that like he's getting out of farming just because it's so expensive right now, and he's like Canada doesn't know what's coming. He's like, but you're not going to be able to afford beef. He's like, because the amount of like taxes on things that are inputs into that process of raising cattle, like gas and diesel being $2.50 a liter, like they're not going to be able to run their tractors. It's insane.
Dude, that's a great point. It's that stuff scares me, man. It terrifies me to see how much what they're doing to our farmers, essentially trying to centralize and give it over to the big companies.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do. Lazarus says, you're arguing about a train the common Canadian would never afford to ride, but will be forced to pay for it and continue to pay for it. How much land will be stolen from people to do it? No thanks.
Fair enough.
Yeah. As I said, I agree with the arguments on this. I think you guys are misinterpreting what we're saying here.
Yeah. The other challenge though is like, why is the train so unaffordable?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why is it so unaffordable? Why does it cost so damn much to build things in this country? Pierre talks about it on the Diary of the CEO. He says that most of it actually comes from the government bureaucracy and the taxation and the development permits and all the fluff.
People just skimming off their premium.
Yeah, exactly. It's all the middlemen in there. And the biggest middleman of all is the government. So I don't think that there's any reason why this train should be $80 billion.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason it should be, because you're right. It is a 19th century technology that we should have figured out by now, and that we have figured out in other countries in the world. Look at Japan.
Yeah.
They can afford to run them. Why can they afford to run them and not us? Their climate isn't that much different than ours.
Yeah.
Like, so I disagree with the idea that we can't build things like that here. I agree with the argument that we are looking at a price tag that's ridiculous for no reason.
Yeah. I think this goes back to what I want to start off by saying before we got into this conversation, is I agree, 100% agree with the pushback argument on this. Like, I agree with it. I just hate that they made this such a focal point.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part I'm just like, because that's just not, it's not a winning strategy right now. Jilly Bean SK says liberals won't cut taxes because we're the ones funding Brookfield. Also, who's going to fund Africa's gender farming bill? So true, though. It's a good question. Who can afford it? We want to know. It's a great point. Love it. Also, talk about how Carney talked about cutting down foreign aid here in Halifax.
I know.
Hilarious. But hey, Poilievre said that, racist.
Oh, yeah.
Insane.
Well, because conservatives are evil and liberals are good. Remember? That's what we were told. So.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap.
We'll be getting to that here shortly.
Yeah.
Bandit 249 Saw says California has been receiving money for decades for a high-speed rail train. Hasn't built a meter of track yet. I feel your train is like the same con. I agree with that 100%. That's what will end up happening.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Couldn't agree more, especially like 2040. Okay.
Yeah. And well, look what happened in Ottawa with their subway line.
Oh, yeah.
And look what happened in Toronto with their subway line.
Yeah.
Nobody can argue against the fact that subway is a fantastic way to transport people in a city, in a dense urban area. We actually need light rail in Halifax now because we're getting to that point. But the problem, like I said, is that they've inflated the costs. They have all these like mysterious overruns that they then have to call in these consultants to then just weigh in. And it's like, I've worked in consulting. I know how that is.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it is a lot of Google and ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So, and we're footing the bill for that, right? So.
RC Laveroux in the general chat was Canadians are funding the Rainbow Road. Gee. Wick Kenton says everything Carney does directly funds Brookfield. I wish that was an exaggeration, but it's not. Nilok says, I work with a lot of builders. They've told me building a deck or fence now has to be added to the mortgage. It's so expensive. A lot of government loans as well. That is true. That's true.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like the fact that everything has to have a permit.
Yeah.
And I was talking to, I'm not going to out them, but I was talking to an individual who has on good authority because of where they work.
Yeah.
Talked about the fact that all the permitting process, none of it is for safety.
Yeah.
It's all about making sure that they capture the correct amount of value so that they can jack the property tax up on something. It's all a property tax scheme.
100%. Homebred cat with a $400. Holy crap. Then with am I seeing that right?
Yeah. That's insane.
What an insane show.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
The money is talking right now. Homebred Cat 7 says, and drops $400 on the show. What the frig are we even doing here? Thanks for doing a great job. So personal question, where do you want to see your channel go? Are you wanting to expand and have an office like Real News, or do you want to stay small? It's a good question. I've actually been asked this quite a bit. I love what we're doing here. I would love to kind of expand the show in terms of increasing quality. I'd love to kind of make it more of a studio and have like a solid desk. I would love to get to that point eventually. I would love to have at some point love to hire a full-time producer. And because I would like to, we've talked about it here, is the goal is to expand what we're doing here, not just be a news show, but we want to partner with guys like Reg who want to get more into the likes of doing polling and getting into more of the strategy piece and capturing that. We want to not just be a political show. We want to start doing all the things that are run by institutions right now and give a voice that's not funded by government funds right now.
Yeah, exactly. And more on the partnership between like groups like the Fraser Institute, talking to some of those folks in higher situations of power, and talking to folks from like there's like it's not the Atlantic Opportunities Agency, that's the federal one, but there's another one here in Atlantic Canada that actually their whole goal is on prosperity in the Atlantic region, and it's run by Don Mills. And so I'm looking at things like that. That's where we need to be. We need to start like focusing on the solutions and forcing our politicians to listen. Because like that's what I think is happening, is that these politicians are caught in Ottawa. They're caught by all the bubble of Ottawa, where they have their aides that drive them around, that order their food, that pick up their dry cleaning. They don't have that connection back to the everyday Canadian. And I think that we can kind of bring that perspective back and say, like through the polling data that we just showed you, through the conversations that we're having with you in real time, that like these are the issues that matter and you need to pay attention. And I think by growing the show, by having more guests on that have that influence and increasing the sphere of influence, we can do that so that we can bring that voice back to Canada. I think it's being squashed by those billion-dollar propaganda machines like the CBC.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that donation, because it really does support everything that we do here.
And also thanks for giving us a question, because I also feel bad when people just drop cash like that and just say nothing.
Yeah.
I'm glad we could give you something back in the process. Cliff Riley with $300.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Says Trump is far from perfect, but at this time in USA politics, he at least attempts to stand for the people. We would all prefer a more peaceful approach, and know one day we will get back to that. It's okay to rock the boat on occasion. The Canadian people have more than enough to fight to do so. Go Canada, from the USA.
So one of the things that I thought was a huge misstep by Trump on his address the other night was the fact that he called out the American people's tax returns. I don't know if you caught that.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, he was just like, the government tax returns that the American people are going to get, they're going to be the greatest that they've ever had. It's going to be great for them. And then immediately folks started saying, I'm not feeling that. I'm not seeing that in my life. And it was like, oh, you pulled a Carney moment.
Yeah, Trudeau.
You can't get up there and talk about affordability. He did kind of mention in the beginning, he's like, oh, we're noticing some blips in the affordability right now. He's like, because of the war. He's like, but it's all for a greater good. It's for a better purpose. Stick with us kind of thing. And we're winning the war. And then he went into that whole thing. And then, but he was talking about the investment coming into the United States. And he's right. He's like, $1 trillion, like trillions of dollars of investment coming into the United States that they didn't have before. I think it was like 13 trillion that they've got now coming in. So that's fantastic. People aren't going to see that yet. That takes time to invest in plant, property, and equipment, and they will see it eventually. And what they are seeing, though, is they're seeing the rate of joblessness going up, because they are actively cutting down the amount of people working off of the federal dollar. So they're trying to rebalance that again, where they're building up the private sector, pushing down the public sector, so that people aren't being taxed into oblivion. And Canada's doing the opposite. So I think what they said, that misstep is that, by saying that, things are going to be so good and, your tax return is going to be awesome, I don't think that resonated with people. I think that was a misstep. But I think that what you showed with the newscaster from Fox News, kind of laying it out there, being like, just hold on. I think that if you can get, JP Vance out there to kind of put that message in, because I don't think Trump can deliver that. I think that would be kind of like the way to go for them.
I listened to Tim Pool last night, and he brought up some interesting points, because obviously right now the conversation on the American centrist side of, or the when you're looking more at the American politics of it all, is with everything that's kind of breaking down, with people kind of a lot of the independents separating and moving away from Trump and kind of doing what they're doing. The question is, what does the next Republican leadership race look like?
Yeah.
Is it JD Vance? Is it Marco Rubio? They're talking that what it could very much look like is they think JD Vance is kind of out of it. They think it'll be between Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is moving ahead. They were surfacing the idea or floating the idea of it coming down to Tulsi Gabbard and Marco Rubio.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And I was like, that's an interesting perspective, because they were talking about how it seems like the American people are now starting to reject the more like kind of like the opposite ends of the spectrum of it. They hate what's going on with the Democrats. Jasmine Crockett lost her seat. Like a lot of those fools have been losing their seats. We're at least seeing the folks even on the MAGA side are like, there's some folks that are kind of being, are having their taste a little soured over this Iran stuff. And so it's like, is it going to come down to, are we going to have two moderate candidates come out of both parties where the Democrats have to run on more logical issues because they realize that the American people have rejected them. And then also you have the Republicans who are a little bit more like, they're a little more less bombastic to say. And could this lead to that type of trend in the US and then abroad?
I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because I just think from like a human behavior standpoint, like you had your fire with Trump, you had like the big, loud party. Now you need the calm to clean things up a bit. And then you'll probably get another big, after that. So I do think it's going to be the moderate candidates, and it's going to be who is going to basically capitalize on the work that Trump has done, because Trump has been very radical in a lot of his work, where completely changing the borders of how things are done. Yeah. So I think that it's going to be up to the next candidate to kind of like be the calm after this storm and kind of put things in order. So I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting thoughts. Okay. Red Tank Girl drops $2.79 on the show. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Lazarus, I just had you. Says high-speed train will be the new housing accelerator fund. Cost billions and nothing will be built. Anything the government wants to do, just no.
Yeah, you know what? I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It's like the concept isn't wrong. High-speed rail is fantastic.
Yeah.
The delivering of this is like, we need deliverance from it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it needs to be. I have to hone on this. It has to be a private. Like, it has to have a private component to it. This should not be a government project. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. RC Lamoureux says Canadian taxpayers' money going into bureaucrats' pockets. Yes. Marc-An Blanco says, don't think too much, guys. Grow momentum. We'll continue going. Hell, RC just coming in hot, says Canada's effed unless the bureaucratic gangsters are jailed. Yeah,
that's where I really have hope for. Oh my gosh, his name just escaped me. The head of the ethics for the Conservatives. Thousand Islands.
Barrett.
Thank you, Michael Barrett. This is what I want to see him kind of proposing, is legislation to keep accountability in Ottawa. Like, if he put something forward like that, I mean, like we are seeing, he can pull up the Endelman Trust figures and say, we are seeing a lack of trust in our Canadian institutions. Here's our bill to bring accountability back to government. Like, it would be interesting to see the parties have to vote that down.
For sure.
I would love to see something like that.
Yeah.
And then make big news about it. Maybe print a sign off.
Yeah, 100%. Homebred Cat dropped another $50 on the show today. Says, if you ever need backing, please reach out. I love your vision. Can't send more money because YouTube taps me out at $500. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
That's
wow.
psychotic. Well, how about this, Homebred Cat? Email us at josh@elevatepodcast.ca. Email me there and we can continue conversations. That'd be awesome. Lazarus says, affordability in Canada is currently the best it's been in over a decade, said by the man who flies around eating $100,000 worth of food on our dollar.
Yes. Amen. 100%.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yeah. And we'll leave it there. So it's been a good show, guys. It's been a good time all around. General chat's looking good. Lazarus says deliverance. I'll start practicing my band show.
I love that.
I want to see what the Q&A finished off with, where people are watching from today, and watching from, and also what you're doing. I think I should have specified that, but I would love to know what you guys are doing while watching. So from Waterloo, Chilliwack, BC, nice and early in BC.
Edmonton.
New
Brunswick,
Kitchener, Montreal. There we go. And St. Catharines. A lot of Ontario, which is cool, which is very cool to see.
Yarmouth and St. John.
Yarmouth, St. John, Middleton, Nova Scotia, Lethbridge.
I'm in rural Nova Scotia, the first traders riding. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Down in Yarmouth that way. CRA is auditing taxpayers, small businesses, and seizing assets. Where do I turn to bring awareness? And Carrie McCulloch 8561.
Oh yeah. So for that one, I would also email me at josh@elevatepodcast.ca as well. I'm in the process of touching base and connecting with EDAs across the province right now to start unifying and start organizing, as well as I've been touching base with campus students across the province and the Atlantic provinces as well. So email me there. I'm trying to get everyone connected and start kind of mobilizing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's, yeah. And then for the Blue Mountains, oh, baby, let's go.
Southern Alberta.
Lawrencetown. Let's go. I love Lawrencetown. I love the Lawrencetown Cafe. That place is amazing.
Yeah.
Great breakfast sandwiches up there. Great breakfast sandwiches.
Do you know what's funny is that down
Tampa, Florida. Geez.
Armdale, like the Armdale Rotary, they have a restaurant down there called the Armdale.
Yeah.
Also really great breakfasts. Sometimes we'll throw a rave on a Friday night. I'm like,
really?
This is not what I thought this would be.
Crazy. Crazy. Tampa, Florida. Dawson's Creek, BC. Oh, we love to see you. You guys are awesome. Good stuff. I think I'm going to leave it there, folks. It's been a good show all around. We're coming in on the 2-hour mark.
Winnipeg getting my golf clubs ready.
Already, I'm so jealous.
There's no way. In Winnipeg, they call it Winterpeg.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are they warmer than us right now?
I was talking to some folks from Winnipeg yesterday, and they've had some very beautiful weather.
Jealous.
Yeah, that's what I said. There's like, what's it like over there? I was like, rainy, cold. Freaking I got raccoons in my attic. It's great.
Still?
We took
Speaking
care
of raves?
we caught them.
Okay.
We caught them, and we sent them away. It only cost me $300.
Oh my gosh.
So thank you for your super chats.
Yeah. Did you tell the chat about the rave that you set up for them?
Oh no, I haven't told the story actually
Okay.
on this chat. Let's do it. This will be a fun way to end the show. So a couple of weeks ago, we start hearing some thumping above our heads in our rooms, and I'm like, don't like the sound of that. Haven't heard that in quite some time. We had squirrels in our attic last summer, but that was heavy. That was really heavy, and I was like, gee. And I go out the next morning, and there's 3 holes in my roof. I was like, friggin' raccoons got in. It's ridiculous. So I looked online. I'm like, this is going to be costly to get rid of them before I can start repairing what we're doing here. So I was like, what do you do? I'll get a radio, make some noise up there, get some lights. So what I did is I purchased a Bluetooth radio for like $30 and went and bought a strobe light and put that sucker in my attic. And we gave the raccoons a rave that they'd never forget. It was great. It was awesome. It worked for a week and it came back when my batteries died.
Oh,
I was like, dang it. So we had to do it again. But then it got to the point where they ended up ripping another 2 holes in my roof. So there's 5 holes in my roof right now. And I'm like, goodness gracious. And all the rain we've been getting, I was like stressing out. I was like, this is so ridiculous. So anyways, called this guy out, set up a cage. We found out where they're climbing up. And I was like, all right. And we got him yesterday.
Good job.
And I said, bye-bye. We have sent you away. You've officially been deported. Give me my own White House video.
Yeah.
Gone. So extradited to a place not here.
The raccoon rave though was killing me.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing them like,
Let's go. I can say we got it early enough where we had no babies in the attic, so that's great.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
That's exactly what you want.
16 degrees in Scarborough.
Oh
my gosh, the scar.
Jasmine Lane says, Josh, why haven't you told me this? We just got rid of a raccoon. Here, Jasmine, thanks for tuning in. I love you. I think this is the time where she's actually been able to catch us because we've gone long enough.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, here's the thing, Jasmine, is I actually intentionally didn't bring this up to you because of the way you dealt with your raccoon. You know what they did with their raccoon?
What did they do with the raccoon?
They set up a camera and said, they'll leave when they leave, like a liberal.
No.
They applied the liberal policy to our immigration system over there. That's how they got rid of their raccoons. They had their babies, did everything they wanted to do, and they said, okay, bye-bye.
Oh my gosh.
So I knew you weren't going to be helping me much on that one.
Never. See, like I'm the guys, I have deer problems, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I had like deer all through my backyard yesterday.
Yeah.
And my daughter, she's like, Dad, the deer, they're being bad. I was like, just a second. So I grabbed as many rocks and I was like, we're even Goliathing this.
Oh my gosh.
I pelted those things like, oh, they were gone. I was just like, we're getting rid of these deer.
You are so getting
I was
canceled.
like, I want a gun as fast as I can get one. Maybe one that's illegal that, they're going to try and grab for me. I don't know. But
You're so getting canceled.
I was trained in the military. I know how to shoot.
Oh my gosh. But throwing rocks at deer now.
Oh yeah. I was like, get out of here. Cause I have peach trees, right?
Yeah.
So, and
they like your food, man.
They love the peach trees. They love the apple trees, and like, get out of here.
Deport raccoons. Digby County, Nova Scotia, keep the good work. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Appreciate it. This is the thing. So Jasmine's funny, right? Love that you're watching, first off. Secondly, though, Jasmine hates commenting on streams.
Oh, really?
Hates it.
Okay.
For this reason. She's like, I feel like I just took the attention away from you. No. We want you to have all the attention. You deserve all the attention. You do great work. You deserve all the love. So, yeah, comment away. Let the people love you in the chat. I love seeing it. It's great. Mark Hatchett says he's got a crossbow. So
come on down.
Yeah.
Like, come on down. I want to invite every hunter, I know it's not legal in my area because I'm in a subdivision.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
this guy's pulling out guns and crossbows in a subdivision.
You can't do it in a subdivision, right? I mean, I've got an acre and a half of property, but it's just like, what do I do here?
I can't.
I don't know what to do. I've got like I said, I went and talked to that farmer the other day, so I'm going to get fencing to put around my garden.
Right.
But I'm just
That's the logical thing to do. Yeah.
Well, the logical
Guys
is
throwing
eliminate
rocks at deer.
Stupid deer. Man, I hate those things.
Before we end off, though, I want you to unwrap what's right beside you. That's for you, dude.
You want to what? Sorry, I just got distracted by dialogue.
I want you to unwrap that.
Oh.
That's for you. That's for all the work you've done with us. Everything you continue to do, and I want you to own a piece of history of the show because you had a huge hand in.
Thanks, man.
And building it with us. So,
yeah.
I guess the camera was not on you.
Oh, sorry.
Here you are.
I'm over here opening up the present. Anyway,
the reveal.
Very nice. So, because what was the first topic it was again that brought me on here back when it was you and Dalton? 3 years ago.
Oh, what was it? This was
it Rolling Blackouts with Nova Scotia Power?
No, that's when he first came on the show for.
Yeah.
This first one, I can't even remember what it was. We probably could go to our message history.
Yeah, maybe
it's in there, but it was something we disagreed on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be friends with this guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if he'll go out for a drink with me and be friends with me.
Yeah.
And you're like, holding my breath.
I was hoping it would go well. It turned out it was a great thing that happened.
Well, it was funny too because I had just lost my best friend, and I was at we went out.
He didn't die, by the way.
No, he didn't die. He just
decided not to be friends with you.
Yeah, because he found a girlfriend that apparently couldn't share friends with other people. Yeah. Anyway, regardless, and we went to this bar in Dartmouth.
Yeah,
and I'm feeling kind of down in the dumps, but I was like, I like this Josh guy. He seems pretty cool. And we get there, and I was like, oh yeah, you were saying you're fairly new to the city, you've been here a while, but and I was like, oh yeah, I was like, I don't really have too many friends right now. And then literally the place fills up with everyone I know.
Yeah, man, we were in that friggin' bar till 2 a.m. It was unreal.
I know.
It was a good time. So yeah, that's the love, man. And I loved all the love Jasmine's getting. Diane Martin says, does it have a shot of whiskey in it, or did Josh polish it off last night? I did not polish it off, but yeah, the whiskey is there. So,
yeah.
But we didn't hold to our promise on that. My bad.
Oh yeah, we didn't.
We were responsible today.
Yeah, look at that. A couple of dads here doing the right thing.
Yeah, stand strong. But Bandit 249 says, love you, Jasmine. I watched Moose and Josh in the morning and watched you in the evening, which is a perfect lineup. And it's almost like we did that on purpose.
I know.
Love it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fantastic. No, we should leave.
We'll have to bring Jasmine down to do karaoke again.
We do. We do need to bring her.
It was just funny because it's her and I and one of her friends went out to karaoke at one of the bars in Halifax, and she was like, I didn't think you guys were actually going to sing.
Yeah, we don't do singing around here. Amazing. All right, we'll leave it there, folks. There's lots going on, but here's the thing. Enjoy your Good Friday. Whatever you're doing, whatever is going on, you're amazing. Thank you for whether you're traveling in an ambulance or watching from the Blue Mountains or Chilliwack, BC, whatever it is you're doing, wherever you are. We love you. We're out. Peace.